All right, so I want to show you how to check out Codeblocks. This is very cool, especially if you've done some coding before, like in code.org. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to your dashboard, you click on the square with all the colors that says Tinkercad, and you're going to click on Codeblocks. And when you get to Codeblocks, it doesn't look like there's really any lessons. This is a brand new feature in Tinkercad, so you're going to create a new code block. And this is where you're going to find the quick start guide, and you can click on that and follow along. And it has a little lesson here, and you click next and you can go through that. Another option is you can click new design, and then you have all of the coding pieces and you can just play around with it and figure it out as you go. So there's shapes, and then you drag these. These look like coding blocks. Do you see how they have a puzzle piece at the top and at the bottom, and you can connect them together. And when you connect them together, you can change the color and you can change the shape and different things. So you just drag these blocks over to use them, and then I guess you just drag them to the trash to get rid of them. Okay, and so there's shapes, there's modify, it's create a new object, copy, repeat, count with, there's math, and it'll get you to different locations. You also have controls, so the modify is in purple, and then the controls are in orange, and then the math is in green, and then there's nothing here in data or in markup other than a comment. So let's say, for example, you created a square and you wanted to say this block of code is what creates the square. You would just put a comment in right after the steps, so you knew what the code did. Now, that's if you want to play around with it. If instead you want to follow along, so what you do is you go to your code blocks, and when you're in code blocks, you can click on activities in here and check those out. Or you can use starter designs. And so that'll give you the code to create one of these starter designs, and it'll automatically create it for you. And then you can go in and modify it. You can change how many features it has, the size, you can add more to it. So for example, I'm going to just click on the brick, and what's going to happen is it's going to put the brick name right up here. So I knew that I used the starter design for a brick. And then if I want to see what happens, so the code is already written over here. So they created a variable row. They created a whole lot of variables. One of the variables is column and body height. And they created a new object, and then they created another, and they called that new object dot. And then they created a new object called body. So when they create the dot, that's going to get called again. And then when they call the body, it's going to just create that one part. So down here it says create the new object, the brick. So they've got the body part, and then they've got the dots that go on the top. So they say add a copy of the body, and that will get played on the screen here. And then as you can see, it says add a copy of the dot, and it's going to keep going through those all the way until the whole thing is built. And so what's really kind of fun is you can press play, this little play button, and it's going to go all the way through the code, and you can see it getting built on the screen here. You can change the view as it's getting built and watch it happen. As you can see, all these different little dots. So it made the body, which was their rectangular cube, and the rectangular prism, and then it added the dots on the top to make the brick, and that's the whole thing. So it looks neat. It's all getting built all at once. So you design and you code, and then you can make a cool GIF out of it. The other thing you can do is press step. So if I press step over here, you'll see each line of code get highlighted. So I press it once, and it's just created the variable row, and then column, and body, and height, and dot, and length. And it looks like nothing's happening over here in the work plane, but it's creating all the code in the background. So now it says create new object, and it created it right here. And then it goes into create new object. I can see it's highlighted into the body, and now it's got this rectangular prism that it created, and then it moves it, and then it adds another little piece in the bottom there, and it moves it, and then it grouped those two pieces together. And then when you click on next, it goes into the brick. So it adds a copy of the body, and then it goes through and it counts, and then it creates a dot, and it keeps on going through. So I just keep pressing on the next, and it's going to step through the code, and you can see it getting built as it goes through. So it's counting from 1 to however many rows it has, and then it's counting from 1 to how many columns it has, and that's how they're adding the rows and the columns of the bricks. There's different ways that you can make different designs. This is just the way that this particular code was set up in order for it to run through. And then it says delete object and delete object again, the dot and the body. And I think those were the ones that were on the bottom. I'm not really sure what those were there for. And then you click next and it's done. So there's nothing more. So it created this whole thing. And then you can export, and you can export the file of the drawing. Or you can share, and one of the options is a screenshot, so you can share the screenshot of your design, or you can share an animated GIF, and it will show your entire object being coded, and it'll look like it's just being drawn on the screen, which is kind of fun. So take a look, see what you think, see if you can code another design. Maybe you can take your first design of your ear saver, and now you can code it, and it'll just draw automatically. You just kind of have to go back through the steps of remembering what you did to create that diagram. And the other thing is you could just create something brand new and try to code it. Or alternatively, you can go back in here to the new design, and you can take one of these starter designs and play around with it, and maybe make it your own and edit it. So hopefully you have fun coding, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.